That's for me. I know a lot of writers that just write by the seat of their pants and they don't do any of that stuff. And then I know writers that will write all these synopsis stuff, they'll write chapters, outlines in great detail, and they have to do that. I'm kind of in the middle.
I was just going to ask if you did any kind of like outlines or even like make a list of what you're going to do from chapter to chapter.
It's an Excel worksheet, and it has a box. Here's opening scene, call to action, first turning point, and I kind of do that. So I think there's 10 different things like that, midpoint, black moment, all that is. And then I fill in the box with tiny, tiny font on an Excel worksheet and just keep it really high level, because I like to let it come out of my mind as I write. I don't want too much structure to feel like, hey, I'm way off course. New things happen that I didn't even plan all the time. And I love that. As the writer, it keeps me entertained as I'm telling the story. For me, I think I'd get bored if I had too much pre-planned and plotted and everything. I think I'd get bored with the story. And if I'm not laughing as I'm writing a funny scene, we got a problem. It's not funny, I figure.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, when I put a movie script together, I will make an outline that will just be a couple of paragraphs just to give me an idea where I'm going to go. And then when I actually sit down to write the script, before I do that, I'll just take a piece of paper and I'll handwrite. I'll just put a number 1 for the first scene and write one sentence of what I want to happen there. And then 2, what's going to happen in scene 2. And it's just literally one sentence. And I've got, usually, depending on where I'm going to go with it, is just like a page and a half. It's all handwritten. And then I sit down and start filling in the blanks. So it's the process.
Like a shortened version of the treatment, really.
Yeah. And I don't like to spend a whole lot. And I get what you're saying, and that you want to have everything, creatively start coming out. And because I don't like to write a whole bunch, because then to me, the fun of the writing is sitting down and taking those one sentence and then going. I remember the very first script I tried to write, I didn't have a direction. And I just thought to myself, God, how do you do this? And then I start reading all those script books that I'm not a fan of. And they all tell you, you need to write this, and then you need to do this, and then you need to write this, and then you need to do this. And it's like, shit, I just want to write the script, man.
Right.
It's, you got this idea and you want to develop it, but I'm along the lines of what you do. It's like you write, I'll get a scene done, and then I'll go back through it, and I'll go back through it again, and I'll go back again. And it's like, okay, too much going on, too much dialogue. Can I say what's, a page and a half? Can I say that in a quarter of a page or a half a page? Right. So when I get done, it's almost pretty much where I want it. So it's I get having that thought process of wanting to, have it come as you're pounding away on the keyboard with it. So that's cool.
It's more, I don't know. It's an easier process for me. I've tried to do where I, early on in the career, like you, studying writing books and how do you do it. And I soon learned, and I'd take all these workshops at conferences on how to write. And I soon learned that was not going to work for me. It made me feel like I'm a failure. I can't do this. This is too hard. I don't think I can. You want me to do all these things at the same time as tell a story? How am I supposed to do that? So I stopped going to all these workshops about how to write. And I started studying books and movies and figuring it out that way, because I realized this is the kind of learner I am. I have to learn this way. And instead at conferences, I started going to marketing workshops and sales and learning that part of the business, because that's huge. It's for indie, which I am. Yeah, it's 50% of what you do is market and promote and do all that kind of stuff. And, so I knew I was falling down on that front too. I don't like going out and selling to people. Ooh, that's uncomfortable. How am I going to do this? I just like to sit and write. I don't want to have to, smile at people and talk to them and say, this is how, it's buy the book.
Investor.
So I mean, I read Zig Ziglar. I read all kinds of marketing things. I took marketing classes wherever I could, just to try to figure out how I'm going to do that part. And then I let the craft be something I did privately on my own, working at it until, it got to where, okay, this is it. I think I got this. And it even, like I said, the first book published was book 7 that I'd written. Because the prior ones, I think of that movie Alien 4 with Sigourney Weaver, where they're looking at all the before they got to her, what she's at,
Right.
and that's kind of it. It was, we tried to do this and it came out looking like this and it's not right. So, for new people coming in that say, well, how, do you recommend a certain book to read to do it? And I'm always like, read your favorite book, figure it out, break it down, because that's how I learned.
Yeah. It's I'm of the same thought process. It's just like I'm a learn by doing person.
Right.
I am not, when when somebody hands me the stereo and says, hey, can you put this together? And then they hand me the booklet that is, 40 pages long. I'm like, okay, I put stereos together. Just give me the pieces and I'm going to
let me do it.
I'm going to go do it.
Let me try some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I was never wrong. So, I mean, that's not to be cocky. It was just kind of one of those things. It's just
Right.
I learned by doing. Just give me the stuff and let me go do it. So,
one of the nicer things about doing it that way for me is with every book, you master something, and it's not something maybe the readers can even see that you've mastered, but
Right.
it's all this behind the scenes stuff that you now have mastered. So now let's try this challenge. And, with, like I said, this is book 36 I'm writing. I have to challenge myself in some way to keep it something I want to keep doing. So now it's okay, let's try to make something like this happen on the page. One of the things I did in Twisty Tortoise Tussles, how at the end of, especially the Marvel movies, they'll have a little where you'll go back and you'll see stuff that was going on behind the scenes to make it all work at the end.
Mhm.
There's other movies that have done that, and I can't think of, there's one with Neve Campbell that they did that, where they go back during the credits. Wild Things, I think is what it was. And they show you how things were building and what was going on behind the scenes. I wanted to do that with one of the plot lines. You saw one part of the plot line going through that you read the story, but I wanted to show you behind the scenes, this was all happening. So I did an epilogue where I went back to the start of the book in the epilogue, and they're just really short scenes, but you see how this whole thing that came around at the end happened. Some people, and I ran it through the betas, it's in there. And some betas were like, well, why didn't you just put that in the book? And I said, because it was slowed down the plot and ruined that whole thing, the surprise. But I see stuff in movies. I think, how can we do that in a book? And I'm sure you see stuff in books and you think, how can we do that in a movie? Because it's a neat thing. But that's something, as I keep writing more, I can try things like that now because I have the confidence in the storytelling that now let's experiment with this.
Well, you mentioned before you write one of the series, you read Treasure Island. Like for me, there's something kind of similar, but especially with comedy. Before I write anything to do with comedy, I go and I watch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Right. That's funny.
That's just, and again, it's not really inspiration in the way of the style, but I think it just resets my mind to comedy. Because usually I write thrillers and I write horror, and before I go to write comedy, I need to go there in my mind, and that kind of flips the switch for me. So, do you have any other kind of like go-to books or
Oh,
movies that you read or watch before you write?
for comedy,
Hmm.
Heat, um, with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. That's one I like to watch. And Spy, again, Melissa McCarthy. Um, yeah, there's movies like that where I'll try. You got to get to your happy place to write comedy. You got to
Hmm.
be, you can't watch news a lot. You got to shut off the news, watch a movie that takes you somewhere that makes you laugh and hits your, sense of humor with what you like to share, and then let it go from there. So yeah, those are two, for example. The Frasier, the series, the TV series
Oh
from
yeah.
the 90s. So I love to watch Frasier's, and we have them all on disc so that I can, because the humor, Niles, his is a very physical humor.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
oh, he's so funny. And to put that again, how do I put that physical humor on the page so that you can see that when you're reading it? So there's things like that that'll just, for number one, they make me feel happy and make me laugh. And number two, studying what the actors are doing to make that comedy land like it did. So yeah, there's different series. Big Bang Theory's great too for that, for their comedy. They've got some great shows that just make you, laugh every time you watch them. So yeah, I very much, like I said, I'm very visual. So I need to have that to put me in the right mindset, like finding something that makes you want to write that kind of a story.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So Anchorman is my happy place, I guess. That makes a lot of sense.
I know, I've seen that several times. So
It's
that is
hilarious.
funny.
And
Mm.
I'm going to my oldest. I was with him in Las Vegas last week. We were doing a video shoot at the SEMA car show, and and we were talking, and he brings up Anchorman, and I'm like, never saw it.
Really?
Oh boy.
Oh
Never.
man.
I I I guess for me the trailers just I saw the trailers and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to see that. I don't want to see that. And
You need to see it.
Isn't that
You need to see
early
it.
Steve Carell with he's Brick, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Brick
Yeah.
Tamlin. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, is he? Yeah, yeah, he's Brick.
It
Yeah.
was Steve. Yeah,
Um,
it was one of his
yeah,
early ones.
but Steve
Yeah.
Carell. But it's a Will Ferrell is Ron
Right.
Burgundy is the main character, and I'm not a massive Will Ferrell fan, but this movie just does it for me. There's like cameos there that would just.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
there's a
yeah.
fight scene between two different crews, right? News crews.
It's more than a
That's
fight scene, but yeah,
I remember that.
all
I think
right.
Todd would find it hilarious. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love Will Ferrell. Like the other guys with him and Mark Wahlberg was hysterical.
Right.
And
This
then
is him at his craziest kind
really,
of Anchorman. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
more
it's so nutty. The
than
whole
the
the whole
frat
plot is
party.
crazy.
Right.
What is it? The
Mm.
frat party movie that he did, or
Yeah, I
Old
kind of
school.
remember.
old
Old
school?
Old
school.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's even
Yeah.
more so than that.
Yeah.
Ooh. What about Step Brothers?
Oh yeah, I
It's
remember
it's
that.
it's actually Step Brothers maybe more along the lines of the type of humor because it's all very it's not like it throws reality out the window basically. You just have to go
Gotcha.
into the world of the film and yeah, and things happen there that are so exaggerated and it's just too
Okay.
funny.
Isn't
All right.
Christina
I love that.
Applegate? Christina
Yes.
Applegate, isn't she the female lead in that one?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah. And Paul Rudd, and you
Oh,
have
Paul Rudd's in
cameos
there.
there from Ben Stiller and people like that, and Vince Vaughn.
Jason Bateman, is he in it too? I'm trying to remember. He's in so
I
many, that
don't
group.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was in. It's a little bit more along the lines of the sort of realism factor, I guess, of like Dodgeball.
All right.
Where the characters are just a bit not quite right, for
Over
the
the
real
top.
world.
Yeah, they're a little over the top.
Extremely,
Yeah.
extremely. So you have your sort of straighter characters, like the uh, Christina Applegate. She's more of a straight character, but the rest
Right.
look around her and the guys just crazy.
All right, fine. I'll watch it.
I love it.
Yeah. Well,
Paul Rudd, Paul Rudd is one of the sort of news people. His name is Brian Fantana. You know, it's
Oh,
just like their
yes.
names are
That's right.
so made up and
That's
so
right.
crazy. Ron Burgundy, Brick Tamland, you know. I just love that kind of detail that they go into, you know, to create these characters. To me, it's
Right.
one of the best comedies, you know, I've ever seen, probably.
Was the
And
second one?
I'm a Western guy. I love Westerns. Westerns are my favorite. My
Hmm.
all-time favorite film is a Western.
What's your all-time favorite Western?
Magnificent Seven, 1960.
Oh, the old Magnificent Seven with Yul. What's his name?
Yul
Yul
Brynner
Brynner.
and Charles Bronson. And
Yeah, that is a good one.
so many of my favorites are in.
Did you like the remake when they did that? No.
Don't get me started. No, should have never been made.
Well,
The only reason it's so bad is because it's called Magnificent Seven and it's supposed to be a remake. Otherwise, it's like sort of okay, but yeah, but they should have never gone.
it's a good. It would have been a better movie if they would have called it something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What did Asaf call it? The Reasonable Seven.
The Reasonable Seven.
What's your favorite movie, Anne?
Oh boy, it's hard because there are so many different genres. You know, I'm just like in the books. I love all over the place. I mean, like we talked about the horror ones that I enjoy. Right. For the Westerns, again, okay, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's one of my all-time favorite Westerns because, oh my gosh, Tuco. Tuco's so much one of our favorites. We have a female cat we got we pick up cats when we travel to book signings on the road. We only have 4, but if there's a kitten, we'll grab it and bring it home. But anyways, we named her Tuco because she's crazy, like Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, just the opening scene of that movie where they're listing.
He's also the Magnificent Seven.
Oh, that's true. But they're listing all of Tuco's crimes as he's getting ready to be. And if you just listen to the list of crimes that man has done, I mean, they do such a good job right out of the gate with him. So that, and then, like I said, I love Jane's. I think it's Jane Got a Gun. I always want to make it an apostrophe as Jane's Got a Gun.
It is.
I do really like that story. And Joel Edgerton is great in it as the hero in that too. And the story with that is good. But I like a lot of humor, such as, like I said, Melissa McCarthy's movies. A lot of hers I really enjoy because she's that physical kind of humor that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's Jane Got a Gun. I just looked
Jane
it up.
Got a Gun. See, I want to say Jane's. I want to make it She's Got a Gun, but it's Jane Got a Gun.
That's Aerosmith, though. That's Aerosmith.
Janie's
That's
got a gun.
true. Janie's Got a Gun.
Yeah.
What was that Melissa McCarthy Bachelorette film? The one with the Bachelorette party?
Oh yeah, see, that was one of her early ones.
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids.
See, that's my favorite of hers. She just killed me in that one.
She just came out of left field. It seemed like she probably has been doing stuff for a long time. Like she was in Gilmore Girls or something, right?
Gilmore Girls. I mean, I'm a Gilmore Girls person, man. I love that show.
Yes, you are.
And she was my favorite. Shut up. She was my favorite. You're not allowed to talk to me like that around people we don't know.
We're old friends by now.
Yeah, right. But yeah, she was just hysterical in Gilmore Girls, you know, and it wasn't it was just in the dialogue and that show was really well written.
And she's in Mike and Molly too.
Yeah,
which was a big.
That's where
Mike and Molly is funny too.
But it was just one
of those. She has great delivery.
Yeah.
Yes, the timing is impeccable. Her comedy timing is spot on. And
physically.
Yeah.
Like she can do the splits and stuff like that, and you don't expect that. And it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. In Bridesmaids, when she just lifts her leg and puts it sort of on the door frame when she's standing, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, really.
Well, hey, let's talk about your awards.
Okay.
At the beginning,
there's a few there.
Yeah, there's quite a few. In fact, my wife was sitting here looking when we were looking through I was looking through the stuff from your bio and all that. I was checking it again before we came on, and she came out into my office and she looks and she goes, "Oh, so who are we talking to tonight?" And I told her, and she starts reading through the bio and she's like, wow. Because my wife is a huge reader. And so when she started looking, she got that. Wow. And she's got that. Geez. Okay.
I
Well,
know.
so let's talk about your award. Let's talk about the first one you ever got.
Okay, so I had submitted this book, Nearly Departed in Deadwood. We'd submitted to one of the big New York publishers. And I was trying to go through the, traditional publishing line way back in 2009-ish. And in the meantime, submitted that book to a contest that's a national contest for it's the Daphne du Maurier contest. So it's mystery. And I finaled in that. And it surprised me because it is mixed genre. And one of the things, one of the walls I hit in trying to get published was publishers would say, pick a side, pick a team. Are you going to write mystery? Are you going to write romance? Are you going to write humor? What are you writing? This is a mixed up, you got to do 60% or 70% of one. And that was back when, we were talking about, you got to go on the shelf. It wasn't, what Amazon offered was, you could be in several shelves virtually. But so anyhow, I had submitted for this mystery one. And I thought, when I did it, cross your fingers, we'll try to get something with this. And I was a finalist. And I went down I was in Seattle at the time, had little kids. Opportunity the awards thing was down at Disney World in Florida. I thought, wow, that's a lot of money and that's a long flight. Do I want to mess with that? And, my husband and I talked and he's like, well, you got to go, maybe you'll win. Maybe you got to try it. So, took some money from, inheritance from my grandfather that I'd kept saving and holding on to. That was supposed to be for my kids, I thought. And I said, screw it. I know. I said, screw it. They never even met him. So I'm going to use that money and I'm going to go to Florida and I'm going to see, what happens with this awards thing. And the whole way there, a friend went with me and I said, I'm not going to win. It's not going to win. It's a mixed genre book. It's not going to win. And we got to the awards thing. We're sitting there. They get to the category I was in. And I can't remember what the category is off the top of my head, but something mystery. And I won the category and I was shocked. And for that, you didn't have to do a speech or anything. You just, went up and got your picture taken with this one thing. And then they had the overall. So you could win the overall out of all these different categories. And that came up and they said Nearly Departed in Deadwood by Aunt Charles. And I think I said, I'm allowed to cuss on this show, right? I think I said,
as much as you want.
I said, oh shit. Because I just was totally shocked. And I had not written anything up as a thank you, speech. And for this one, you had to get up and talk. And I was just so bamboozled that I went up there. I didn't thank all the people that were in the audience that I should have thanked. I thanked other people that weren't there. I mean, it was just a mess. I was just so shocked that I won this big national contest with this book that I thought, no way. So I came back and I had entered it in another contest that was for romance because there is a romantic plot line. It was like romance, not the main plot being romance category for the big Romance Writers of America contest they have. That's a national. Might be international even. And I finaled in that one. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to win this too. I'm not, and it's in New York. I can't do it. I'm not going to New York. So I did write a little thank you thing and sent it with a friend of mine who was going. She's another author. And I said, it's not going to win, but if I do, will you read this for me? And that they were doing the whole thing over in New York and it was still afternoon. And I'm folding clothes in my kid's bedroom. I'm folding underwear of all things. And she calls me, or the other friend, because she's up getting the award for me. And the friend calls and says, you won. Oh my God, you won. And I'm like, I'm folding underwear of all moments to win this award. For years I was part of RWA, Romance Writers of America, and I dreamed of winning that award. And I didn't go. And I'm folding underwear. So it was like, oh, geez, oh, Pete. So I botched botched those two up, you know. But since then, I've had some amazing things happen. There's Suspense Magazine. I think I won an award with them 3 different times. I got a hat trick in that, which was incredible for different books. There's a Chanticleer. I won their Big Mystery Award, which was really cool and surprising. I was just floored. And it's been different books over the years that have won. So it's been really, really cool. One of the wildest things that happened to me, I was at work, tech writing job, and my mom calls me, and she's in South Dakota, and she's been talking to people back east on the East Coast. And she says, my mom calls and she says, "You're on Jeopardy!" And I said, "What? No, I'm not. I'm at work." She goes, "No, you're on Jeopardy." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. I'm sitting here at work." She goes, "No, you're on Jeopardy." And I said, "I think I'd know if I've been on Jeopardy. I don't think I'm smart enough to do that, Mom." And she finally's like, "Oh my God, you're a question on Jeopardy." She might have added, "You idiot." I don't know. But so I was like,
Wow.
"What are you talking about now?" That was
I
just
have to say, that's better than any award.
oh, it was she goes, "My friends from the East Coast are calling me and saying they have a question that Anne Charles sets morbid stories in this town or something, and it's What is Deadwood?" And I just sat there in my cubicle, you know, going, "You're kidding me. How the heck did this happen? What, you know?" And so because we were on the West Coast up in Seattle, I had time to call everyone I know and say, "Tune into Jeopardy. We've got to watch this come through." And so sure enough, it was the coolest thing to have Alex Trebek say that, you know, read that question. I was like,
And I
wow,
have to say, the answer is, what is Deadwood?
what is Deadwood? That's right. What is Deadwood? So, and what was
Jeopardy has rules.
what was cooler that's right, was it was one of the all-star ones where they had Lewis Black was on it. And I can't remember the other 2 stars, but I love Lewis Black. And so Alex reads the question to all them. And because I was new in this writing business, nobody knew the answer. Now you'd think that'd be a bad thing. But when nobody knows the answer, what do? They just sit there with that question showing and doing this Jeopardy sound, right? The song. So it's like 5 seconds of play, 5 seconds of national TV time that I got because nobody knew the answer. So
And then Alex Trebek answers it.
yes, and that's what happened. So it was like, well, that is awesome. So yeah, that was one of the coolest things that
Couldn't
had happened.
ask for better publicity.
I know.
Yeah, that is cool.
And authors were asking me, "How did you get on Jeopardy?" And I wish I could tell you. I don't know. It was a shock to me, but thank you to the Jeopardy gods for including me in it.
Yeah,
You know,
no kidding.
It's like a stamp of approval kind of thing, isn't it?
I know. I'm so grateful for whatever writer came up with that question. That was really cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's like super impressive. I'm over here going, Alex Trebek said her name on.
I know.
Cool.
And they'll do repeats. So I'll have people every now and then go, "You were on Jeopardy last night." And I'm like, "I know, isn't that awesome? I'm in repeat land now." That's cool. So that was pretty amazing. I tell newer authors, listen, it's an amazing journey, you know, and you can't copy someone else's. You might want to, you know, me included. I wish I could do what that person did to get all those sales, but enjoy the ride that's yours, you know, and have fun with it. And for each thing like that happens, just, you know, thank your lucky stars that you got to experience the things you do as you go along on this road.
Yeah. That's one of those things my wife has to remind me every so often of that when, you know, things that are, I don't know if you want to call them milestones or whatever, but when those things pop up, just grab them with both hands and hold on and,
right,
you know, enjoy what's happening in the moment. And then you've got that memory and you can, you know, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's so easy to look at what somebody else is doing and then get lost in the jealousy or envy and wish you had that. When you
Yeah.
sit back and look at what you have, and then you'll start seeing how what you've done and the accomplishments and the wonderful things that happen to you too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's also, I think we touched on this before, but there's also the thing about, people want to learn how to do things, whether it's how to write or something else, and they go to all these classes or even, schools or whatever, and they just keep learning and learning and learning, but they never actually go and write, So I think there's that lesson of just go and do something. Like you're saying, up to book 7, you don't even consider them as being that good, and book 8 is the one that hit and
Right.
and got published and all the rest of it. And people think, oh, if I learn all this stuff, my first book will be a success. It doesn't work that way, and it's the
Not for
same in
most.
filmmaking.
Yeah, not it's like the lottery. I always say, if you hit the author lottery, then your first book goes huge, but then you got a problem, because then you got to make then you fall off, you got to make the second one just as good, or you're in trouble.
Right.
Well, you have to make the first one good, not just published, and that's always difficult, to make anything, a first of anything really good, because you're still kind of learning, you're still getting your bearings in a way. With filmmaking, it's the same, and I have more respect for people who kind of, in some ways, jump in and just go and do something, rather than, oh, I'm learning how to do it, or I'm still working on my script, 10 years later, and it's like, come on.
I was just gonna say 10 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, you would have had to, if you work on a script for 10 years every time you make a film, you might make 2-3 films throughout your life and you're done.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. And it's the same, I guess, with books. I mean, it's amazing how many you've done, the sheer volume.
Oh, and I'm nothing. There's so many. I have so many friends that have done twice as many. So yeah, I just figure I'll, do what I can over the years, write the stories I can, without burning out. And when I end, when it's done, it's done. But I don't want to go into it. You don't want to go into it competing and trying to get as many as you can, because each one has to be the way I feel like, and it's stressful, because with the next book I put out, if it's not at least as good as the last one, then I'm in trouble. And I think readers will go, oh, well, it wasn't quite as good as the last one, but we'll give her another try. But if you bomb twice after that, you're in big trouble.
You lose them. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stress as you continue to climb the ladder to keep putting out the best you can, and yet make it a little better than the last one if you can.
Yeah, your only competition should be yourself. You shouldn't really try to compete with other people, because no good will come of that.
Right.
That's something that we talk about often, because in indie, it's just so much of that sort of, jealousy and everything, and people try to compete against each other rather than help each other out, promote each other. That helps a lot more.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody wants to play nice. Everybody wants to fight, and it's just like, why can't you guys just like help each other out? Why is this got to be
cheer each other on? Yeah,
cheer each other on. But then it's just a matter of, well, his movie is made this much more than mine, or he's getting all of this attention on this one, and blah blah blah, and I should be on there. I should be the one getting the attention. It's just like the egos that run wild in this indie filmmaking thing, and I don't know, maybe they do it within yours, within your
it's a definite
book
yeah
world. Well,
it's a definite thing to compare. I mean, I have a quote on our fridge where you can stand and get the water, out of the fridge, and it says, "Comparison is the true thief of joy," because
love that.
It's the truth. That. You compare yourself. If you can just focus on what you're doing and not let the outside, so and so has X amount of followers on social media and I have 3,000 less than that. How do I get more? You can just do this with every tiny aspect of this career. So and so has more awards. So and so looks like they make more sales. Blah blah blah. I have to go back to that quote so many times and refocus on where's the joy in what I do. It's making the readers laugh and have people writing that say, "Hey, you helped me get through this period. You had me laughing when, my parent was dying, or I was in this horrible place," and go back to that and again refocus on that rather than how so and so is doing on book sales and how do I get that. So yeah, I think it's in this industry definitely too, and it's hard. And one of the things that drives my kids nuts. So I say this, do you know that thousands of years ago, the Maya civilization was huge? And I started on this whole thing and they're like, not the Maya people again, Mom, please stop. And I'm like, but they were on top of the world, and they're still around, but they're not the big civilization they were. And nothing matters that mattered then. And they're like, all I wanted was a pair of jeans that's cool at school. Why did you have to take this road about the Maya again? Like, I can't help it. Get it, let's think about, in reality, what's important in this 100 years. If you get 100, what's important?
Well, the Mayans, how many followers did they have on Instagram?
I know, right?
None.
Things didn't go well for them. They're still around, and that's something that they're still around. But yeah. So, and then I've been watching a lot of stuff on Egypt lately too. And they're like, oh my God, now she's talking about Egypt and all the old Egypt and new Egypt. And but it's true. They were huge. That was the civilization to be. And now we just, put their stuff in museums. They're still there. Egyptians are still there, but it's not what it was. So I try to use those things to ground me when the jealousy comes, and the comparison comes, and just focus back on this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and keep doing it.
Yeah, the joy is in your own journey, not somebody else's. And that's what people seem to forget. They have to check on other people to put some sort of value on their own stuff.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah. How many books did you sell on this release? And I actually stopped paying attention because it was driving me crazy. You start looking at numbers every day and you stop writing. You get for me, I got so stuck in that world that I couldn't focus on creating new stuff because I was too worried about sales and all that kind of stuff. Now I push forward and I say, don't look into the sun, just keep my head down and keep going forward. And hope that it keeps going bigger, and then the other thing I do is I'm a mad scientist when it comes to marketing. Try this. I have a thing we call drunken magnets. I was drunk one night and I thought it'd be really cool to make these magnets with a book cover. And I did it and I ordered like 200. And the next morning when I was sober, I saw the grammar mistakes on the 200 that I'd ordered. And I go, oh God, lesson learned. But I told everybody on, Facebook at the time, listen, I got drunk and made magnets and there's errors. Anybody want a magnet? And everybody wanted a drunken magnet. So take what you do. And even if it blows up in your face, try to make the best of it and learn from it and have fun with it.
Yeah. And I think
you gotta be in it to win it.
I think that's what a lot of creative people forget. They're looking to be the best, not what they're doing, not with just the fact of what they're doing. They feel like they need to be up here right out of the gate, or they need to be up here anyway, and they're not enjoying what they're doing, or they're so worried about what other people are saying about them, or what people think about them. It's just, for me, it's just like, I don't care. I'm making movies. Sure, I'm not making a complete living at it yet, and I'm 57, but
Yet.
Well, and that's the thing. I always say yet,
right.
And we just released an episode, we were talking about spouses. My wife was the first interview on our, the other half.
Other half.
Oh, cool.
series where we're going to be talking to indie filmmakers, and maybe we should be talking to Anne's husband.
That's what I was
He's-
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's people, you think, oh, it's, and there are times that it is one person doing most of the work, but most of the time successful, in so many things like film, there's another person behind the scenes that's doing the equal amount of work. They're just doing it behind the scenes. It's what they're good at over there. There's things I cannot work with the computers. Oh my gosh. You'd think by now I could, all the techie jobs, things I've done, but I just want to take a baseball bat to him half the time. And he'll be like, let me get in here. Let me fix this for you, and there's just so many side parts of this, and formatting. He does all the formatting, and he does an amazing job and makes it look, and another thing I tell authors is indie authors, listen, you're not competing against other indie authors and me. You're competing against all authors. That includes New York published authors. Your product has to look just like a New York pubbed book as much as you can. I mean, you've got to, you're on that level. You got to play at that level. Don't, try to do what they do and make it look the same so that a reader goes, oh, I can't tell the difference. I'm going to buy this book. It looks fun, So anyway, all the work that goes on behind the scene from the other half being part of that production and putting this stuff out is just incredible.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing that you just, and again, like my wife always says, don't just focus, worry about you. And, it's something you have to learn, and it's not, for some people, it's not always that easy.
Right.
So it's nice that, it's refreshing to hear that you and your husband and your whole family work.
Everybody, we all do this. It's a family thing. Dang it.
And it's kind of one of those things. It's like, I want to, can you guys,
I want that family.
want that family.
Can you adopt me? Can you adopt me, please?
Yeah.
Well, I learned early on in marketing, when you ask for help from someone, even your family, you don't just say, will you help me please for free and do this all for me? Someone will do that, a couple times, but what's in it for me? And a good friend taught me that. She's an author. What's in it for me? Something has to be in it for everybody that's involved in this. So if there's something that, when I work with my sister, what's in it for me? There's things in it for her too. And then also making sure you notice that and you pay attention to what works for them to make them want to help. That's big. For one of my sisters, she went to school for accounting. She loves this stuff. She has to find every penny. And I'm like, good enough. She's like, oh no. So, and she does that. And then she'll go and do a book sale and she sets up the whole table like Martha Stewart. And I have none of that, but it's like, you do that. That's where you excel. And then being thankful for them. Everybody that helps in different ways. So I think that's part of it is we pay attention to that. We don't just, oh, well, you're doing it because you should, you should help. No way. They do things because it's a team thing we're doing. And there's something for all of us in this. I think that's helpful.
Well,
that is awesome.
The fact that everybody wants to help, and I guess when I hear that, it's like, oh, my sisters are involved and my mom does this and my kids do this. My kids for a while were interested in what I did. My mom, who passed away here just about 2 years ago, she was always encouraging of the whole movie thing, but not as a career. It was like something that you did that was fun. And then my dad could give two shits about it. He's never seen one of my movies and has flat out told me, I did a music video for the band Great White here a few years ago. And, I was excited. It was finished and I wanted to, my mom wanted to see it. She was still around then. And she wanted to see it, and my dad got up and left the room. And my mom is just like, Milt, are you gonna sit down? Todd's gonna show us his video. And my dad says, I'm not interested, and left the room. And I was just heartbroken, and my wife was not happy. So anyway, so yeah, it's just when you were saying everybody's involved, wow, God, wouldn't that be cool to have all those people? So, bow down to your family. I mean, that's just freaking awesome. Ever since you said that at the beginning of the talk, I was kind of like, wow, I just got all those people. Fuck.
Yeah, but I have a big family. There's a lot that really aren't into it. And, I'm going to read your book someday. And I'll say, okay, that's cool. But I don't expect it. That's fine. You don't need to. But if you want to tell people, that's cool, and just mention it, hey, my aunt, like or my aunt or my cousin writes books. That's cool with me too. So it's not everybody, but I have had wonderful mothers that read all the stuff, and they're part of the First Draft team. No matter what, my mom, she would take it to church and get people. And I'm like, Mom, not in church. There's language in there. On top of it, there's sex
wrong
on,
audience.
There's
Wrong
sex
audience.
on the page. Mom, what are you doing? And she said, those people have kids. They know what sex is. I mean, it was like,
she's not wrong.
Oh boy. So
That's
yeah, I mean, there's been a few that have, really stepped up and helped in different ways, and it's awesome. And others that are too busy doing their own thing. And I don't ask them. But fortunately, I have both on my husband's side and my side. We have big families. So, and some are into it and they have fun with us and making things happen. I mean, every year we have a Deadwood fan party. We go to Deadwood, and it's become now 4 to 5 days that we're doing stuff. We have events, we have things go on. We can't do that alone anymore. It takes lots of people, and help. And we have family there helping all the time, and then friends that now live there and help. So yeah, we're really fortunate to have so many people that want to be part of the team.
Is this because of the books?
Yes, it's the Deadwood series.
Wow,
because they're set there. So like this year, a really cool thing we did was we chartered a tour bus. And so we went through different parts of Deadwood, and the tour guide, he was great. He would talk about Deadwood, the real Deadwood, and history and stuff. And then he would hand it over the mic over to me, and I would talk about, here's where this is set in the Old West, the Undertaker version. Here's where we have this, here's where we have that. So they could see it. And then coming back through town, I said, now we're in the modern version. Here's where this is set. Here's where this is. So to bring it to life even more for them was really fun. So that's just one example of what we do. Paranormal tours. We do it with everybody that wants to be on it. So we're there with you, going through the paranormal tours, and having fun with the readers doing this. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. It started, 10 plus years ago, and we just keep doing it every year, and people come from all over for it, and to be part of it. So that's really cool.
5 days.
It's up to this last one was with all the events. It took 5 days to get through. Yeah. Wow. I mean, we had stuff, and we had to do a few book signings in the midst of it too. So it's the locals there in Deadwood and Lead are part of it, helping out and touring different things and doing different stuff. So yeah, we have a good time, and it just keeps building. But again, this started out small. 1 year, just a bunch of us were there, and we were having a book signing, and we decided let's go eat together and have a little party, and it just built.
Wow.
That's awesome. Like your own festival.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot of work. But we have a lot of help now, so that makes it awesome.
You just mentioned the Undertaker series, and I wanted to actually ask a question about that, or just kind of bring it up. But when I sort of read a little bit about your stuff, if I'm not mistaken, that also has a female hero character, right?
Yeah, Clementine. She's the
Undertaker.
She is. She's the Undertaker, but she's come to town. She's being the Undertaker back then, but she's there for a different reason. It's like she's undercover. and she's
Oh,
being
okay.
an undertaker to try to figure out what's happening here, because she can see the bodies coming through and see what's happening
Mm.
because of the dead that's coming across her table. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of the start of that.
I found that whole premise fascinating. I don't think I've seen that done before, where you have a female character being an undertaker, and I thought, oh, geez, that's pretty cool.
Well, so my
Um,
husband and I were watching some Old West documentary on TV,
mm,
and they had undertakers, and this was before we started. I was on writing book 9 of the Deadwood Contemporary series. And when we got done, we started talking and going back and forth of, have you ever heard of a female undertaker? And
exactly.
I have this big book of death that I've read that talks about undertakers. It talks about bodies I mean, it's the book of death. And it's, I've read it at Christmas. It's not a real big crowd pleaser when you pull it out during the holidays. But so I hadn't in there come across much about female undertakers. So that's, we kind of were talking about, what if we had an old, in the Old West, we had this female undertaker, but she wasn't really, she was undercover, being an undertaker. So she's really doing
Yeah.
the job, but she's really there to figure out what's killing these people, So that's kind of the start of that whole thing. And it's really been a fun series. It's fun to have a heroine that's so tall and so strong, and she can kick, really kick ass. And she's not, Superwoman, but she's strong. And you know what it's like in the Old West to be a woman that tall, and the comments she gets about being a man, and all the stuff, the crap she takes. And she could kick their butts if she wants to, but she's trying to stay undercover and do this job. And so, yeah. And then we have, like I said, the Sidewinders, the Santa Fe Sidewinders, 2 guys coming up from Santa Fe, and they're just regular guys out there trying to find their uncle who went missing. And he was in Deadwood last they knew. So yeah, we just have a fun time with different characters in that.
I see Daryl Hannah playing that.
Oh yeah, the old Daryl. Yeah. Well, I see Sigourney Weaver. So big, tall, which in their heyday.
I actually saw I can't remember her name, but the one who was in Game of Thrones as
I
the
only
knight,
saw
the female knight, kind of.
Oh,
She's like a I can't remember her name, but she's tall.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so
I watched the first one.
She's been in other stuff since, but like she fights the men in it, with with all the big swords and all the rest of it, and she's tough as nails.
That's
who
that's Clementine. She's just kicks butt. Yeah.
And as you were talking about it, I was thinking almost like a female Liam Neeson for some reason. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
Well, that's Sigourney Weaver then.
Yeah, right.
She's not big enough. She's probably sort of feminine enough to not be that, I think. But Ripley was tough.
Ripley was tough.
Daryl Hannah is tall though. Daryl Hannah is like 6'1",
6'2" or something.
Yeah,
6'1", 6'2".
She's pretty tall. So as soon as you said how tall she was, I went, "Ooh, Daryl Hannah would work on that."
I know, right? Big, tall, strong, kicking butt. It's fun, and in this era where they're looking at a lot of younger girls coming up are looking for heroines that are, the big action heroines. So it's really kind of fun to have someone like that. That's, and one of the fun things we do is, so Clementine, similar to Violet in the Deadwood series, they have these histories of what they really are, and they come from different backgrounds. So Clementine has a Viking history. Her ancestry is Viking. So a lot of her weapons, a lot of her sayings, like things she thinks, mantras, come from Viking down the line. So you have her. And then Violet in the Deadwood series comes from German line of what's going on, and I don't want to give too much of that away, but she has German ancestry. So we're talking Black Forest, we're talking things that happened way back when over there in Germany, and what her line, her family history plays a role in. And then we have another that's French and has this whole, so you get to play with those different histories, bringing them in and having that be part of their character, which is so much fun too.
That's yeah. You're talking about that. Oh wow, yeah. So and so go play that. Ooh, Helen
Yeah.
Mirren. Oh,
Mhm. Mhm.
I know, right?
Well,
Yeah.
you were saying about girls coming up and needing more heroines, and I think a lot of the times today, what they're trying to do is take a fairly well-known, established sort of male character and just make a film with a female character. I just don't like that.
Right.
Not that I have anything against heroines, but I think that, create your own, create new ones. Why are you writing, a man's sort of coattails by, Jane Bond or stuff like that they're talking about making, like a James Bond who's a
Right.
female,
Right.
and changing all these other characters. And that's what I loved about this one. As soon as I read it, I was like, this just comes off the page, and it's
Right.
new and original. It's not something that you took, I don't know, Billy the Kid and made it, I don't know who, but a woman's name or something who was
Right.
a
Right.
gunslinger.
Philomena.
Make it a
Y-
new character. Yeah, make it a new
Yes.
character. It's
That's
more
what
interesting.
I do love about, yeah, all the they're their own, nothing based on, they don't come from, oh, we're based on this or that. They're their own characters coming out. And even my stepmother, she's read romances most of her life, and she doesn't really do the action. She's watched westerns with my dad, but she read the first book. She's one of my early readers, and she's like, I love Clementine, what she can do, her strength. There's a scene very early on where you see her take on a guy that's just killed a prostitute. We were talking about the abuse and stuff that's gone, and he's like, she's just this. She doesn't matter. And you see, this female strength come out, and a battle short little thing kind of, and she was just like, I read that scene and I thought she'd say, oh, it was violent or something. She's like, I love her. Oh, I love her so much. And I was like,
That's
really?
awesome. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, even, I mean, she's in her 70s, so that was really cool to get, from a different age group kind of thing coming in and going, I really like this character. So yeah, we have a lot of fun with the Old West and giving her this strength that, but yet at the same time, like I said, she gets picked on. Men call it, they make fun of her because she's got man hands or whatever, and
Mhm.
being picked on for not being the dainty little female with the parasol, that kind of a thing at all. She wears pants, trousers, that's what she wears.
Big no back then.
Exactly. And being an undertaker was not a good thing in many cultures, especially a female. So she's, got to deal with some animosity from different cultures because of what she does. So it's kind of a fun thing to explore.
Yeah, and you are right. We need sort of new original heroines. I think that the last really, sort of ass-kicking female characters were, Sarah Connor and Ripley. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing has come close since, and that's a long time.
Yeah.
And they were originals. They weren't,
Right.
Characters that males played and they replaced them or something. They just wrote new characters, made them very interesting. And I think that's what you're doing here, and I really like that. Like it literally jumped off the page for me as soon as I saw that. I was like, ooh, so many possibilities.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should,
Yeah.
like I said, check it out. We have and my husband and I, we really go through this. It's a real merge. Instead of, he writes one thing, I write the other. It's not like that. We blend our voices in that series so that we each have stuff we do, but then we go through it together and read it out loud and blend it so it's, doesn't sound like it's two different people writing. It sounds like one voice, which I think is not, it's not always the easiest because we do disagree at times, on what should happen. But at the same time, we know what's important is the story and making it the best we can for the readers. So we keep that in mind.
Was there any sort of inspiration behind naming her Clementine, or?
So it's a very old-timey name. It's not her true name, of course, but it's what she's using here. And we just liked Clementine. We discussed a lot of different names that we could have for her, but we just liked, I don't know, Clementine just rang true from the beginning. And
So it had nothing to do with My Darling Clementine.
not really. I mean, that was part of, that was going, was that song. I'm not sure when that was, but I assume it
I'm
was during
referring to
that
the
time.
movie. I'm referring to the
Oh,
movie,
Oh,
the Henry
no.
Fonda, Pat Garrett.
Yeah, no, it had nothing. It was just you take a bunch of. I mean, if you look at the in the Deadwood Modern Day series, the heroine's name is Violet. Again, I wanted an old time name, something that's that's been around for quite some time to come out because I thought that would. I don't know. It just seemed like we need these. The other one we talk about in this series that I said there was a Slayer from with French origins. You can't pronounce her name. She's like, you can't pronounce my name. Just they call her Prudence. So again, another old time name that just works for these characters, kind of giving them this thing instead of
It takes me to the Clint Eastwood character, that had no name in a
yeah,
few movies,
right.
Yeah.
in a few westerns. Yeah,
Blondie. Wasn't he Blondie? They called him
He was
Blondie.
Blondie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in Pale Rider, I think he was just the rider.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he didn't. He kind of was supposed to have been the throwback to The Man with No Name for Good, Bad, and the Ugly and all of those. So that's kind of what I remember seeing an interview with him that he thought it was time to kind of revisit that character in a sense, and so
Right.
that's what he said where that came from. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, we're a couple hours into this. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up? I know it was just like oh.
I know. I always like to let everyone know that they're available in audio as well. So we have a lot of audio fans.
Let's go ahead and I'll kind of say we're coming to the end, and then I'll ask you about that, and you can go ahead and start talking about the audio stuff. So excuse me. All right, so here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of our conversation with Anne. And why don't you tell us a little bit about we had talked about audiobooks earlier when we were talking. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So we have, from the very beginning, we've been, working on having all these stories in audio, and the different series, like the Deadwood series, we've stayed with one narrator through them all. So there's 12 of those, and then Jackrabbit series, again, the same narrator through them all, and the Deadwood Undertaker crew is the same narrator. So we tried to really, when we went into this, we went through a lot of different voices to find the ones we thought would work best, because we knew we wanted all these things, to be in audio and seamless as you went one from one to the next. So we have some really great narrators, and all of them are available in audiobooks. You can either go to my website, AnnCharles.com, or you can go out to your favorite place to get audiobooks and see if they're there. We are in several different markets. So yeah, it's really gotten popular in the last 2 years, the audiobooks, and a lot of fans coming in that listen to them on the road while they're doing housework, mowing the lawn, or just, sitting in front of the TV at night without the TV on, listening to, it makes me think of old time radio, right? The old radio shows that you'd sit there and listen. Yeah. So, and they're in ebook and print book as well.
Awesome. So if people want to find, and those who like the physical books, would you prefer them going to your website or going to Amazon? What is your preferred purchase option?
Well, if you'd order through our website, through the Ann Charles Shopify, or not Shopify, online store, it's through Shopify. I can autograph it. So you can leave instructions to say, hey, I want you to make this out to my sister, say happy birthday, Jeannie, and, sign it and, or just have it autographed. All the books that come through the store are autographed. So you at least have that. So it's your call. If you want to go through Amazon, that's cool. Or if you want to order through us direct, we ship USPS priority mail.
Awesome. I want you to autograph my audiobook.
Well, we do have audio books available through the store and ebooks too, but I can't autograph, but I can send you. And I do send a lot of times overseas. I can send autograph stuff in the mail. I have all kinds of fun promo things, stickers, bookmarks, everything, So I
Drunken
do
magnets.
that. And drunken magnets. Yes. Yes, I do have those. Yeah, I've had a lot of those experiments blow up in my face over the years. But hey, we still put them out there and say, hey, look at this, we're human. So
People still wanted them. That's
oh
even
yeah.
cooler is the fact that they were like, yeah, give it to
Well,
me.
I had COVID when we were trying to finish Never Say Sever to get it to, the Deadwood fan party in time. And so we put a book out that had errors in it because I couldn't get it through the editing process in time. And we just called it the COVID not virgin, the COVID version, and put it out there and said, hey, there's errors, and got sick, so
like
this
that.
is here it is. And then we put we numbered them. And so there were 100 and some you could get. They're gone now. But yeah,
COVID edition.
Yeah,
COVID.
people wanted the COVID edition for their, their libriries, which was
That's
fun.
awesome. That is
That
awesome.
is awesome. It's a collector's item.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, if people want to get a hold of you, Anne, is there someplace other than the website? I mean, do you have Facebook, Instagram?
Social media.
I am on. Yeah, I'm like a bad seed that's everywhere. I couldn't think of any. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and like I said, I'm on TikTok, and I got going on that for a little bit. Then I hit the big pause button because I had to get books done. So, and you got to sing and dance almost over there, and I'm just not that talented. So I'm on there a little bit, but I'm on
see
Twitter.
Drunken TikTok posts.
Yeah, I did an online book signing once where I drank too much. So I got to be careful with that because that's happened too. And you're live and you're getting a little glossy eyed going, oh no, here it comes. And I'm still signing books. So yes,
I'm a writer. I need to drink.
So yes, I'm on social media all over the place, and you can send me an email too.
All righty. And what's your email address?
Anne@AnneCharles.com.
All right. Well, thank you, Anne, for joining us on this episode of the Straight Shooter Show. Itai, if people want to get a hold of us, how do they find us?
As always, the MindyProductions.com website, on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram that Todd is taking care of. And we're everywhere. If you want to find us, you can.
All right. So thanks again, everybody, for watching this episode. And thank you one more time, Anne, for joining us. And we will see you all next time. Same bad channel right here on the Straight Shooter Show.